Bye.
Okay. So our essential question today is, how do I solve, oh boy, how do I solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula? And you guys are in for a real treat when we have class tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Just wait.
So let's go through this. There are so many different methods you can use solving quadratic equations.
Yes.
Remember, graphing calculator, factoring, square roots, completing the square, and finally, quadratic formula. Any of those, you'll get the same answer.
Right.
Graphing calculator, though, only use it to check.
Please.
Yes. So now, there's a lot of information in here, but all my purpose of showing you this is, there is a reason the quadratic formula is here. It doesn't just jump onto the board. How you come up with it is by starting with a quadratic function and completing.
Just like this.
Yes. And all they're doing is completing the square and solving for
yeah.
x.
Okay.
And when they do that,
Then you get the quadratic formula.
yes.
So we didn't just make up this formula.
Right, that's what I was trying to get
Okay.
at. We didn't just make it up.
Got it.
All right, so here it is, the quadratic formula.
You should memorize
You
this.
should. Notice sometime we're going to ask you in this lesson to find the discriminant. The discriminant is just b
Oh, it's
squared.
underneath it,
Right.
It's not even the square root.
No, it's just b squared minus 4ac. It is not even the square root. So if we say find the discriminant, you just use b squared minus 4ac.
Okay.
And the discriminant, there is a purpose for it.
Okay.
It is part of the quadratic formula, as you can see, that you can use to determine the number of real roots of a quadratic equation.
Okay.
Yeah. You can use a quadratic formula to solve any quadratic equation that is written in standard form, including equations. Now notice what we wrote here. Real solutions or complex, which we talked about.
So real or imaginary.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can use completing the square to check your answer at any time if you're unsure, if we say use quadratic formula.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's
All
go.
right.
Example number 1. Well, what do we always do, Miss Boyd? The very first thing before we find a 0, we set something equal to 0.
Yeah.
The function.
0 equals x squared plus 3x minus 7.
Exactly. Now, should we write the formula?
Yep. The opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over
2a.
2a, which you'll get tomorrow.
Yeah. So over to the side, let's write what a, b, and c are.
I'll do that here.
That's fine.
A,
B, and
and
C.
So the number in front of the x squared is our a. There's no number, so it's 1.
Yep.
B is 3, and C is
Negative 7.
Now we just take these numbers and plug them in here.
Let's do it.
So start with the opposite of b. So that's a 3. Oh boy, not a negative 3, just a regular 3. Jumping ahead,
Trying to
jumping
trick
ahead.
you.
Plus or minus the square root of b squared. And I'm going to put it in parentheses.
I always like to do that.
Because in case it's negative.
Yep.
gotta
Whenever
make
you
sure we start.
substitute something in, keep it in parentheses.
Now, it says minus, but I'm going to change it to a plus negative because
Right.
a lot of people make silly mistakes here. So if you change it to a plus negative 4 times
Yes.
your A is
which
1,
is 1.
and
your C, which is negative 7. And that's all still under the square root. Maybe extend that little line up there. See that? All over 2.
2 times our A.
So easy.
Now clean it up.
Right.
So we've got a negative 3 plus or minus square root. 3 squared is 9
and
plus
negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 7 is 28.
28.
All over
All over
2. Okay?
Clean it up more.
Yep. Negative 3.
plus or minus the square root of
37 over
2.
and we are done.
We're done because that's not a perfect square
You
root.
can't split that
so
up.
we are done.
And actually, maybe to the side, just write that equals x, just so they know.
Gotcha.
Remember, we're still solving for an x.
Okay.
And we have 2 answers, plus or minus.
Yes.
So now, if we look at this example, I'm trying to think
Yeah.
how many we have. Well, why don't we skip maybe
skip
this
this one.
one
Sure.
and go to the example. Let's do this one.
Sounds good.
Okay, so set the function equal to 0. You always have to do that.
Oops, 0
Mhm.
equals 4x squared plus 3x plus 2.
And over on the side, we're
We
writing
have
what A is
equals
4,
B
B is
equals
3.
C equals 2.
Right. Let's write the
So,
formula.
The
So,
opposite of B, plus or minus square root of B
Mhm.
squared minus 4AC all over 2A. You'll totally memorize this after
maybe
doing it so
extend
many
that,
times.
maybe extend that a little bit.
She's so picky, so picky.
See? Yeah.
All right, so the opposite of B is 3.
Mhm.
Plus or minus, it's not always going to be 3.
No, it's
of
not.
3 squared. I'm going to change this to a plus
Plus a
minus.
yep,
So plus
plus
negative 4
times
times
A,
A
which is 4,
times C.
which is 2.
All over
2.
2 times 4.
Yes.
All right, clean her up. So we get negative
Negative
3
3.
plus or minus square root of 9
9.
plus,
Now
this
negative,
is negative 16.
yep, and then negative
And then it's a
16
positive
times,
32.
yep.
All over 8.
But wait, why would it be a positive?
Oh, I was thinking that was negative. Sorry, my bad. Negative 16 times 2 is a negative 32. Thank you for checking that.
Yeah.
All right. So now we get
Negative 3 plus or minus
the square root
of negative 23 over 8.
Ooh, so this is imaginary.
Yep, you never leave your answer like this now with a
No.
negative under a radical. So now we can split that up
Yep.
into the
So
two
this-
parts. The square root
we
of
go to square root
23
of 23
and the square root
square
of
root
negative 1.
which is then
I. So
Okay.
we can rewrite this now.
negative 3
Plus or minus, where should we put that I? Out.
The I comes out front.
Yep. Square root of
now
23
positive 23
over 8. And that is your answer.
X, and we are done.
Yep, we are done.
Nice. So
All
if you
right.
get a negative under a square root, take the negative out, make it I, and leave it positive underneath.
Exactly.
Okay.
That would be it. Okay, now, oh, you know what? I think we're going to cover what I,
Yeah, I think so
You-
too.
do you see what I'm,
Yeah, people always forget that this goes with this and
Yeah.
this.
should we write that down below?
Yep,
Can
I
I
sure
scroll
am.
down for you a little
Sure.
bit? So let me just rephrase.
Yeah,
What you circled up there, that is totally acceptable.
right.
But if it would say what's the real part, what's the
Right,
imaginary,
right.
let's rewrite this
So we got
as negative 3 over 8 plus or minus I
square
root 23 over 8. So if someone said equals x, if someone said, what's the real part? Well, that's negative 3 over 8.
Real.
Yep, and the imaginary part is the square root of
Imaginary.
23 over 8. Okay,
Very good.
all right. Oh, one other thing I wanted to
Yes.
emphasize. Notice, you see that 4 out front?
Yes.
When we completed the square, remember, we had to get rid of that 4.
Right.
With a quadratic formula, you don't.
No,
A
it's
can
for
be
A.
greater than 1.
Oh, good.
Okay, I wanted to mention that.
That's
So I think example 4, I think we should save
We
for
can skip it.
class.
Yep, perfect.
And now, notice this. We talked about the discriminant,
Mhm.
and that was b squared minus 4ac.
Right.
You are going to now calculate the discriminant to determine the number of solutions. So let's go through this table quick.
Okay.
When the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, is greater than 0,
Okay.
you're going to have 2 distinct real solutions. They're
Okay.
real because they cross the x-axis in 2 spots.
Right there and right there. Got it?
When b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, there is 1 distinct real solution, and it's there. And that's,
it.
remember, when we have a double root.
Yes. Yep.
And the third option is when b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, it makes sense. Think about it. Less than 0 means it's negative.
Right.
That would be the negative under the radical.
Okay.
And it doesn't cross the x-axis,
No.
so there's 2 distinct non-real
Got it.
complex solutions.
Okay.
So let's do this. All they're asking us to do in example 5 is find the type and number of solutions for the equation.
Okay.
So look at, it's really weird
Yeah, so
right
I'm going to
now.
get this to equal 0.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to subtract 12x.
Yeah,
Subtract my 12x.
Right.
So I'm going to put x squared. I'm going to put the minus 12x first.
because you
so
have
it's
to put it in standard form.
plus
Yep.
36 equals 0. Am I boring you, Miss Jack? She's yawning over here.
So
All
we, when it says find the type and number of solutions, we have to find the discriminant. So we can find A, which is 1, B is negative 12, and C is 36. So let's write the formula for the discriminant. It's right above. It's B squared
Yep.
minus 4AC.
Oh boy.
Oh, not S.
Not S.
C. So let's
just
plug it
plug
in.
So B is 12.
Negative
So
12.
use parentheses.
Uh-huh.
Negative 12
Yep.
squared. Changing it to a plus
Plus a
minus.
yep.
Plus negative 4
Mhm.
times A,
Which is 1.
times C.
Got it. So
Negative
that
12
is
squared is
144.
Plus, well, what's a negative 4 times 36?
Negative 144.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
so this is just going to equal 0.
So if we scroll up,
1
when B squared minus 4AC equals 0.
equals 0, we have one real solution.
Yep, so it says find the type, so it's real, and how many? 1. So 1 real solution. That's it. Okay?
So you don't have to solve it. You're not finding
No.
numbers. It's
Gotta
just asking you
read
what
the
type.
directions.
Got it.
All right, next one. There's a 6 and a 7.
Mhm.
What do you think? Do you want to do one of them? Or should we save
Let's
both
save
of them
both
for class?
because we have something else to talk about.
Yes. So this is pretty quick.
Yes.
All this is talking about is, let's just read what it says here.
Okay.
The graph shows related functions. Notice that the number of real solutions for the equation can be changed by changing the value of C. So notice on all of those, the A and the B are exactly the
Yep.
same. The only thing that changes is your C. So the green quadratic function has how many? 2, but they're not real.
Imaginary.
They're non-real solutions.
Right.
Complex numbers. The red graph has 1 real solution, and the blue graph has 2 real solutions. That's all that says.
Okay.
And this, I'm going to let the students go through this on their own. All it's
Okay.
listing for them is the different methods used to solve quadratic functions. That's
Got it.
all it's listing. And notice what it says. No matter which method you use to solve a quadratic equation, you should always get the same
Same
answer.
All right. Good.
Your 2 video questions are, number 1, find the type and number of solutions for the equation.
So your answers are down here.
Yes.
A, B, C, or D.
And remember, you're going to use B squared minus 4AC. That's it. And number 2, find the zeros of that quadratic function using the quadratic formula. That's
Okay.
it. We will see you
See ya.
tomorrow.